Welcome again to Your Health Matters. I'm Dr. Magda Porterfield.
And I'm Ron Porterfield.
And today we're going to be talking about something that's very important. In fact, all the topics we talk about on this show are important, but on this segment, we'll be discussing the benefits of something that many people skip or take for granted, and that is eating a regular, hearty, healthy breakfast. Stay tuned because I want you to learn more about that important meal of the day. And so my husband's going to be leading out on this. What can you tell us about this topic?
That breakfast is not appreciated. It is often skipped, and there are few reasons why people typically give that they don't eat breakfast. We'll just look at three to begin with. These three main ones is, well, you probably guessed it, is I'm not hungry.
Yes.
All right, well, I don't eat breakfast because I'm not hungry. Next is I don't feel like eating, or that, well, I'm just too busy.
Yeah.
So those are the three main reasons why people don't eat breakfast. And it's interesting enough that females are more likely than males to skip breakfast, either because of maybe being too busy or running late, something like that.
Yeah, we females have a lot to do, don't we?
Yes, well, that's true. Yes, yes, that's true. And so there was a survey done, and they found out that, well, 75% of the respondents in the survey showed that breakfast now is one of the breakfast time, that is one of the new snacking times. So that's why we're talking about eating a hearty, healthy breakfast. So some people are not eating anything. They may be drinking some coffee or something like that, but a lot of people are sort of just grabbing a bite here and there and then just running with it. And so we want to mention some things why that's not the best for us, for our health, because your health does matter.
Yes. So a new snacking time, that's interesting.
Breakfast time.
A lot of people just snack and they don't eat that hearty, healthy breakfast.
That's right.
So what's wrong with skipping breakfast, by the way?
Well, to begin with, the brain and the muscles are not fueled properly to handle the work, the study, or whatever it is for the day that you're going forth to do. So we want to have our muscles and our brain fueled. You think about this. If you were going to take a journey somewhere, take a long drive somewhere, you would fuel the car. You wouldn't just go and maybe just put in $2 worth of gas or whatever. You would want to make sure that the tank is full. And that will get you a long distance until the next time that you have to fuel up again.
We do want to fuel the tank, don't we?
That's right. We do want to fuel the tank. We want to fill the tank so that we can fuel the body and the mind, right? Next is they find that breakfast skippers, they tend to be a little bit more overweight, and it was found that breakfast skippers tend to eat less fruit and vegetables and tend to eat more unhealthy snacks.
Wow. That would explain why they're overweight then, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And they could solve some of that by just eating breakfast.
Eating breakfast. And that goes along with the fact that digestion and absorption are slower later in the day. So people who skip breakfast tend to just sort of postpone things a while. They pick up their meals later in the day while the absorption and digestion rate are going down, but some people, their meals are picking up. So this is not the right time to be doing that.
And what else can you tell us about?
Yes, also it was found that, as I mentioned, they postpone things for a while. It sort of goes later into the evening meals, and this can also interrupt the quality of sleep. We talked about that on another program as well. As we also did mention the need for regularity in all things. And so this would come in well with this right here.
You know what, as you're talking, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
It sounds like it's almost a little bit of a domino effect.
It is.
You skip breakfast, you snack more, you eat later, it affects your sleep, and, it just starts all over again.
Right, and as we're going to find out in a minute here, it also puts us more at risk for certain lifestyle diseases. And I know we don't want that at all. We have a slide, we have a statement from the book Counsels on Diet and Foods, page 173, a statement of Ellen White here, and this says a lot. It says this: "It is the custom and order of society to take a slight breakfast, but this is not the best way to treat the stomach. At breakfast time, the stomach is in a better condition to take care of more food than at the second or third meal of the day. The habit of eating a sparing breakfast and a large dinner is wrong. Make your breakfast correspond more nearly to the heartiest meal of the day.
Wow, that's foreign to many people. The heartiest meal.
That's right, the heartiest meal. Make it, and she says it here, that at breakfast, your system is more prepared to handle the largest meal of the day. Now, Ellen White here didn't mention anything about physiology
Right.
or our body's metabolism, but we'll see in a minute here that all fits right in.
Wow.
And it's amazing what the Lord has given us through his end-time prophet, Ellen White, such wisdom for us today.
Amen. 100+ years before the scientists.
That's right.
Paul
yes.
Harvey says, Ellen was right again.
Amen. Yes.
So let's kind of switch now and let's look at some of the advantages of eating breakfast regularly. Tell
Yes.
us about that.
Okay. And in mentioning some of these things, what's wrong with skipping breakfast, I've sort of given some of the things that would be beneficial if we reverse it. For instance, the first one is it gives us more energy to get things done. And so many people today, I guess as always, are busy, but it seems like life is getting busier.
It does.
And busier.
Yeah.
And so we want to have some fuel. We want to be able to handle that optimally.
Yes.
We want to be able to think. We want to have fuel. As a matter of fact, glucose is the primary source of fuel for the brain. And so we want good glucose, that is. We don't want any type of sugary stuff like that, right? So we want to be able to fuel the brain, fuel the muscles, so that we can get things done.
All right.
Next, breakfast jump starts the metabolism. We're coming off a long fast
Yes.
through the sleeping hours, right?
Break the fast.
Break the fast.
Yes.
You got it, breakfast. And so, as Ellen White mentions, at the breakfast time, our body is more able to handle the largest meal of the day. As a matter of fact, there was a study done, and they showed that we can burn twice as many calories if we have breakfast than if we have meals later in the day.
Wow.
That our body's rate of digestion and absorption is about 2.5 times higher in the morning than later times in the day.
That's pretty high.
That is very high. And so what that is saying here is that the body has ability to use that fuel more efficiently, more effectively for what things we have to get done. Also, there was another study that was done. It was showing, it's talking about physiological rhythmicity. That's
Wow.
2.5 mouthfuls in it. And it really was just talking about, we talked on another show, we're talking about the regularity, talking about that circadian rhythm where our body has certain timing, meaning that in the morning, our metabolism is more geared to, I've said it in 2 or 3 different ways, to metabolize and to digest fuel. And so we look at, and in this study they look at, and it doesn't matter if we have a hypercaloric diet or a hypocaloric diet, meaning that it's irregardless if we have a huge meal or a low meal, that our body is able to more adequately handle the calories in the morning. For instance, if you eat an apple, let's say we have 2 apples, same size, same amount of calories, everything. We can eat an apple at 8 a.m. and we can eat an apple at 8 p.m. The body is going to be able to use the fuel from that apple at 8 a.m. much more efficiently and effectively than the apple at 8 p.m.
That's amazing.
It is. And it's all because of where the body's, where it is at that time with the body's metabolism. Later in the day, the body's metabolism is on a downswing.
All right. All right. So we're talking about the benefits of eating breakfast.
That's right.
And we mentioned about how the calories are utilized, metabolism being jump-started. What else can we say about breakfast? I'm sure that it's related to disease incidence in some way.
Absolutely. It was found through many different studies that people who tend to eat breakfast regularly, we're not talking about just here and there.
Okay.
I'm so grateful that Ellen White points out it's not the occasional deed or misdeed, but we're talking about the habitual. We're talking about regular.
Yes.
So regular breakfast eaters are shown to have a lower risk of disease. As a matter of fact, they're 34% less likely to have type 2 diabetes. They are 43% less likely to become obese. They're 40% less likely to have fat around the midsection.
Wow.
And it's also found that they have a lower risk of having high blood pressure, and also they have a lower risk of developing metabolic syndrome, and that's a cluster of conditions that puts one at a higher rate of cardiac events, whether it be heart attack, stroke, deep vein thrombosis, all these types of problems with the cardiovascular system.
So just eating breakfast can lower my risk of these different diseases.
Yes.
Metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure. We're not saying they're the only cause.
Oh, no, no.
But if we eat breakfast, we can lower our risk of having these diseases.
Absolutely.
Simple things to
Yes.
just manage our health better.
Yes.
What else can you tell us about breakfast eating?
Yes, also heart health. People who eat breakfast regularly were shown to have greater heart health. And that just goes right in with what I just mentioned about having the, found to have more normal blood pressure.
Yes.
And not at such a great risk for having metabolic syndrome. But they also found that breakfast skippers tend to be at a greater risk of heart-related disease. And so we don't want that. They also found that breakfast skippers tend to be at a greater risk. We're talking about now those that have had a heart attack.
All right.
That they are even at a greater risk of death if they're not regular breakfast eaters, or suffering from some angina within 30 days. Now we're talking about after the heart attack event. That's pretty sobering, I think.
Yeah, it is. So you're saying, let me just make sure I understand.
Yes.
You're saying that people who have had a heart attack
That's right.
within that 30-day period, if they don't eat breakfast regularly, some of these things can happen.
Well, if they are not already on a regular breakfast eating plan,
Okay.
and then they don't continue that plan. In other
I
words,
see.
we're talking about people who have a regular plan of breakfast eating. It's not necessarily that they're going to say have a heart attack, they go to the hospital, get all that therapy done,
Gotcha.
and they need to jump on a bandwagon and start having breakfast in order to avoid another heart attack. We're talking about people who already have that program of regular breakfast eating.
And if they have a heart attack, then
Right.
less. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it now.
And part of the reason for that is it is found that people who eat breakfast regularly tend to be more conscientious about having a healthier lifestyle.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a large part of it.
That makes a lot of sense. So we're looking at lowering risk of disease, better heart health.
Yes.
We talked about metabolism.
Yes.
So what else can we mention in terms of the impact of breakfast?
Absolutely.
There's so much.
There is so much, and we're just sort of touching on a little bit here. Increases memory span, also performance at work and school. And this has been known, many of these things have been known for so long, but it's very helpful to touch upon these things again and to continue to bring these things forward. So better focus, better attention span and memory. As a matter of fact, there was a study done where they looked at the brain scans of children, those who had breakfast, who ate breakfast regularly, and those that did not eat breakfast regularly. And what they found was, and this is very interesting, they looked at the brain scans and they found more activity in the brains of children who eat breakfast regularly than those who do not eat breakfast regularly.
Wow.
So that right there is showing that this activity is showing that they are able to have higher scholastic scores, to remember, to read, to retain the information that is given. And that's not only in children, but also in adults.
Yes.
As we do the different processes of work or whatever it is that we have to do throughout the day.
So it's telling me that the brain scans showed that the children had higher activity or more activity in the higher functionings of the
That's
brain.
right, absolutely.
Very good. Yes,
Yes.
that's important.
Yes.
Very important. There's a phrase.
There is a phrase.
I love this phrase. Let's hear it.
And you know, this phrase, this old adage, it has been confirmed by science. As a matter of fact, one researcher said, the old adage, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. It says it has been backed up by scientific evidence.
That's amazing. It's not an adage anymore.
No, it's backed up by scientific evidence.
Yes, wow, so good. I'm hoping that our listeners are listening. I always say listeners, viewers as well, that they're viewing and listening and writing down the importance of breakfast or keeping in your mind the importance of breakfast. And if you're not a breakfast eater, I hope this will motivate you to start eating breakfast. So let's share with our viewers what a good breakfast might look like.
Right, and we're talking about a hearty, healthy breakfast. We're not talking about one of those grab-and-go meal, like a bun and a juice or something like that, but something hearty. So we can, as we talk about hearty, healthy meals, we can look at things like having whole grains. We're talking about oatmeals and maybe millet. Millet is one of my favorite grains. I know you make some wonderful things with millet. I love your millet pudding. As a matter of fact, it's kind of making my mouth water right now.
Okay.
All right. So also granola. Granola is another hearty meal.
Yes, it is.
We just want to try to avoid the sugary, refined stuff.
Yeah.
Because that could be problematic too, as far as we're looking at diabetes or heart problems and all that. And then there are dried cereals. There's a couple of brands out there on the market that if you look at, if you have a very small ingredient list, and that's what we want. We don't want a long ingredient list with a lot of long words that we have problems pronouncing. Also, we want to make sure that we get fruit, fresh fruit. It could be fresh fruit or dried. Maybe even some people might want to do smoothies. Hopefully not the smoothie only, but have some whole grains along with it.
Yes.
We want to be able to also chew. Chewing is a critical part of digestion.
Yes.
Every now and then, but not just the liquid diet. Whole grain bread. Also, and maybe some fruit spread with that, or some healthy butter or margarine or something like that. We want to get in some healthy fats like our nuts, seeds. We can put some avocado spread on that bread, and thinking about your avocado spread again. Oh, but some people, they say, well, I don't really care for breakfast type of foods in the morning. Some people prefer more of the savory meals. So they can have rice and beans, things like that, vegetables. And then hopefully you would get your fruits at another time.
Yes.
It's not best to mix the fruit and vegetables at the same meal.
Yes.
Yes.
So in order to do this is good. In order to do this, though, I think it's important that people plan, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Planning is critical. Maybe helping with a weekly menu would be good. I like crock pots,
Yes.
or you do a lot of cooking and you freeze it, and then at a key time you can go and pull it out, and there you go. We have a meal.
Yes.
Just warm it up.
So planning is important, and it is possible, viewers, for you to have a healthy breakfast. I hope that you are realizing that. So as we wrap up, our time has slipped away from us so quickly. What can you share with us spiritually? We love to end on a spiritual note.
Yes, talking about this hearty, healthy meal early in the morning, I think about Exodus 16, where God rained down manna. It was like dew on the ground in the morning. But it only lasted a certain while. It wasn't out there all day, so they had to get this meal early. And this was food for them, heavenly food.
Amen.
But it was also supposed to point their minds to Jesus, right? So there we were in this temporal food, an illustration of our God. And it should be like us too.
Yes.
We should seek God. As a matter of fact, from Proverbs 8:17, I like this passage. It says, I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me.
Amen.
So we can seek the Lord early, and we should go early for our temporal food as well.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I thought this was so great. I hope you think the same, viewers. And please, I encourage you to eat that healthy breakfast. Don't leave. Stay with us, because we're going to have a wonderful natural remedy to share with you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to our Natural Remedies spot. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of castor oil. Castor oil, maybe some of you, when you think castor oil, you may be thinking, ooh. Yeah, castor oil does not taste very nice at all, but you may already know, or maybe you don't, we're going to talk about it here today, that castor oil can be wonderful for many things. Well, you may know that castor oil is a wonderful natural laxative. Those of you that maybe have been suffering from constipation, you can take 1 or 2 tablespoons of this in the morning and then allow it to do its work. Make sure that you stick somewhere close to a bathroom. Now, it's going to work on you gently, so it's not going to be like you have to race to some bathroom or you will have an unfortunate accident, but at the same time, it will, once it starts working, it will work pretty well. Also, it helps to fight infections. In the case of something like athlete's foot or ringworms, it helps to fight that fungal infection. It has also been known to fight migraine headaches. Can you believe that? That's because castor oil is an anti-inflammatory. And as you drink a little portion of this castor oil, like I said, about 1 or 2 tablespoons, what it does is it helps to detox the gut. And many people who have migraine issues, migraine headaches, they have been found to have some gut-related problem. So as you drink a little bit of the castor oil, it helps to detox the gut. You'll have that wonderful relief of waste, and that can have a wonderful benefit on your head. My wife talked about in a program before about the gut-brain connection. So I think this fits in perfectly with how if we look at, that is, taking care or correcting something that is happening in the gut, it can be a blessing to our brain. In this particular case, relieving the migraine headache. All right, it's also been known to help those who are suffering from hair loss. You can simply massage some of the castor oil into the roots, to the scalp, and allow it to penetrate deep into the roots and to feed the tissue. And many people have reported wonderful benefits. It's also been known to be a wonderful blessing for those who are suffering from arthritis. Also, it's been a blessing for wound healing, swelling, joint inflammation, and acne. So we're going to demonstrate today just how to make a simple castor oil pack. It's called a castor oil pack. I guess it could be also called a castor oil poultice. Now, many people like to use a cloth, a cotton cloth, felt or fleece cloth or something like that, and that's fine. For these purposes, we're going to simply use a paper towel. I've used that many times. I've used both. I've used natural fibers as well as this particular paper towel, and both ways are very helpful. The rule is, whatever you have at your home, use. So I'm going to take some paper towel here. By the way, you can get castor oil almost any place. You can get it at that store that has almost everything. I think we know what store that is. You can look online at that other store that has almost anything, and you can more than likely find some castor oil. So I'm just going to drizzle a good portion of castor oil on this cloth here. You see I have quite a bit. And I'm going to put this together like this. So, okay, good. Got it all running down here on the plastic. That's okay. It's going to be used. Allow that to absorb there a little bit. And you might know that castor oil is very greasy, but that's okay because it's anti-inflammatory, so that when you apply it to the tissue, apply it to wherever you're putting it, it begins to work its healing wonders. Now, you should be able to use that same cloth several times. If you're using a paper towel or if you're using a piece of cotton or fleece or felt or whatever, you can use that several nights. Sometimes you may have to, after the second or third night, apply a little bit more castor oil. It depends on how much you put on in the beginning. But let's say, now I was talking to someone earlier, and they said that they had a little wrist pain. So this is something too that, let's say my wife is having some wrist pain, we could simply apply this here, like so, and we'll wrap it around nice and snug like that. Now, something that helps this to work even better is to apply some heat to this. You could put a heating bag, hot water bottle to this and keep it on for about 20 minutes, or you could put a heating pad on it, or you could put a hot compress on that for about 20 minutes, and that allows the constituents in the castor oil to penetrate the tissue and to work that much quicker. So this is a little example of a castor oil pack. Let's say you're having some abdominal discomfort. You could apply a castor oil pack to the abdominal area. You would get probably a cloth about that measurement and drizzle it with the castor oil. And you would make sure you want to get plenty of plastic so that you could cover this. Please be advised that this will stain your sheets, your clothes, so it would be good to cover it with plastic as much as possible. But it could be for abdominal issues. It could be for chest issues. If you're having problems, let's say congestion, you can apply this across your chest, and this could bring great relief as well. So that's the castor oil pack and castor oil. Lots of wonderful benefits. Thank you again for joining us on Your Health Matters.